What is up, everybody? It is Robbie Dagger back again for this time. We're gonna do it right. This is gonna be an analysis on all the jobs DPS. We're gonna start looking at dungeons here. That's what I got pulled up on the screen. We're looking at every single job in the game, all 17 of them, and we're gonna look at first the DPS, how the jobs are faring over the past 2 weeks since the patch has been out. Just in dungeons. We'll start with the dungeons, we'll go from there. So, we are under damage. We're looking at all dungeons, all jobs, all patches. We're only looking at patch 5. Just so you know, we're going to look at all percentiles, because, I don't know, it's kind of fun to look at. There's a lot of data here to go over. We're going to look at the past 2 weeks. The reason why I'm selecting 2 weeks is because we just had a new patch. I think it was, what, 4.0... I don't know, the first patch since ShadowBringers, and it did make some changes to a couple of the jobs, and we'll talk about that a little bit here. But yeah, so just jumping right in, we can see the Black Mage is king of dungeons right now. Just on average, they're doing a lot better than everybody else as far as damage goes in dungeons. The reason for that is pretty damn simple. I mean, Black Mage has always been the king of AoE. So definitely dungeons, we're doing the big pulls in dungeons. I mean, AoE is king in these dungeon runs until you get to the bosses, so it really does make sense. Black Mage is pretty much always, since 1.0, they've been setting the bar as far as damage goes, for the most part. But we see the Monk back here, kind of sliding in. We see their... On average, monks are okay. They're not, you know, off by too far. Let's see. Our median, which is like the average, is 72.05, where Black Mage's was 76.79. So, you know, like 3 points and some change off, almost 4 points off. Not that bad, honestly. Not that bad. Dragoon surprised me here because he's actually right behind the Monk. He's very close. Monk's 72.55. Dragoon is only 1.5 points off as far as average damage goes, and we're starting to see some outliers here, which is honestly awesome. Some of these outliers have done more damage than monks, so that's why I like to look at all the percentiles, because you see the top tier players here. What I'm guessing, these outliers, I call them outliers, but they're the most top tier players in the game. What I'm guessing this is just maxing out, min-maxing. So these people are probably trying to get through fast as possible. They might be using food, they might be using pots. They probably have the best gear in the game. I'm hoping we start seeing some monks beating these dragoons out here, because, you know, it's a little disheartening to see the dragoons taking the cake for damage. But on average, dragoons are a little bit less effective in dungeons than monks. So right behind the dragoon, basically not far off. Median is 70.55 on the dragoon. On the next class up, the machinist, it's 70.29. The machinist had a really nice overhaul since ShadowBringers, and they've been doing some awesome stuff. I've been out damaged a few times on my Monk by Machinist, so they are pretty damn strong. So that's pretty good. Samurai is here. Samurai used to be the king of physical damage AoE, and they've kind of been dethroned a little bit. I do think they're in a really good spot. They're still in the top 5, so I kind of understand all the samurai hate. There's a lot of samurai hate online right now against monks. Samurais are like, no, we deserve it. But you know what, man? Honestly, Monk has been in the game for a long time. It's been kind of lousy for a long time, and I don't know. I just think Monk deserves to be the king of physical damage for right now. Samurai isn't that far off of Monk, though. And Dragoon, you know. So, if Monk was 72.05 in the median, our Samurai is 67.55. He's just a little bit lower, about 5 points lower, but it is really not that bad. Next, right below that, surprised me also, just barely not making it into the top 5 is our Bard. with a median of 67.38, and all I really can say about that is Bard is in a good place right now too. Although, my God, it's so much less about the songs now, and it's so much more about just like doing crazy damage that I don't even know if we should call them bards anymore. But you know, it's all good. They're doing very well right now, which is nice to see. Summoner right behind Bard. I was actually excited to see that. I thought we would see Summoner a lot lower, but Summoner does some really good AoE attacks. So we are seeing it pretty high up. It's got a median score of 66.50. So as you can see, we're starting to move down here. Our top median was 76.79. So we're starting to drop in our averages here, in our medians. So Red Mage right after Summoner. Red Mage kind of right about in the middle of the whole group. Red Mage and Dancer doing very well though. 63.53 for our Red Mage, and our Dancer is sitting pretty at 62.32. So they're about a point off from each other. We'll talk a lot more about Red Mages and probably like the raid videos I'll make about FF logs, because I have a lot more to say about Red Mages, but not really for dungeons. I don't really see them that much in dungeons. I see them more in raids, and the ones I have been seeing in raids are very strong, at least on my server. Dancer is very good with AoEs, so I'm not surprised to see it this low on the DPS charts here. So as you can see, we're starting to get into the tanks, where we're starting to see tanks. So we are at the bottom of the list for DPS. Red Mage, Dancer, followed by Ninja. It's going to be the lowest dungeon DPS for right now. I'm very surprised, honestly, that Dancer is this low, because Dancer seems to have some very good AoEs. I've seen them do lots of damage. A little bit of surprise to see them this low. Now Ninja. We need to talk about Ninja. Ninja with a median of 58.45. About, what is it, 20 points? Almost like 18 points off from the top score. Oh, jeez. I didn't know you could zoom in like that. How do we zoom out? Okay. So, yeah. Here, let me refresh this page. I don't know how to zoom out. So, Ninja with a median of 58.45. Not the tightest. Not the tightest. We would have to see their actual, DPS numbers to see how close in damage they actually are. Ninjas do provide a bit of raid-wide AoE. Raid-wide, buff with that vulnerability 10%. Basically gives everybody a 10% damage buff for a few seconds. Unfortunately, you can only do it on one thing at a time, so not super surprised seeing Ninja in the lowest DPS as far as dungeons go. I just don't know what happened to them this patch. They're just not doing super well. So that's the end of talking about DPS, I believe. The rest of these are going to be our tanks and healers and everything. And as we can see, we won't spend too much time talking about this, but we should talk about it for sure. As you can see, I swear, this changes like every time I look at it, honestly. That's why I'm glad I waited a little bit to do this video. Right now what we're seeing is Gunbreakers doing the most dungeon damage. Which, what? Huh? I don't understand. So Gunbreaker has some really easy to use and nice and simple AoE. It's got a really simple, effective AoE rotation. I guess that has something to do with it. I honestly would have thought Warrior would have been way up here, doing the most. But it's Gunbreaker, surprisingly to me. Also a surprise to me, Dark Knight is right behind Gunbreaker. Or I say right behind, but it's almost 4 points off. It's about, yeah, it's almost 4 points off from the median between Gunbreaker and Dark Knight. Dark Knight and Paladin are right next to each other. Dark Knight is just a hair in front of Paladin with like 1 extra point. Less than that. 46.15 on the Dark Knight, 46.10 on average on the Paladin. So they're just neck and neck. You can see the outlier Dark Knights are doing just slightly more damage, but nothing too crazy there. So here's something interesting. The average warrior, the median warrior, has a better, on average, warriors do more damage in dungeons than Dark Knights and Paladins, but we are starting to see more powerful Dark Knights and Paladins. So I don't know exactly why that is. I'm guessing, I don't know, I'm guessing people are gearing Gunbreaker and Dark Knight. Maybe these happen to be more popular. We can kind of tell here. We can tell by how many parses have been submitted, so we can see that Gunbreaker does have, actually no. Gunbreaker and Dark Knight do have the most parses, but it's not by much. Warrior, for some reason, has like no parses. Well, less compared to these other ones. So definitely submit some parses, especially if you're a geared warrior. I need to see this number. Warrior is like it's like my go-to tank, y'all, so I need to see these numbers a little higher. 1 second, I'm gonna restart our music, courtesy of Dude Where's My Spoon. Shout out to him. Let's see, under the warrior. So I thought that was curious to mention that on average warriors do better than Dark Knights and Paladins, but we are starting to see better numbers from Dark Knights and Paladins, basically, and still nothing is beating the Gunbreaker yet. So right under the warrior, we have our healers, all 3 healers here, in the order that you would expect, honestly, as far as dungeons go. So White Mage taking the cake as far as healing. Yeah, White Mage doing all right. I mean, they're healers, they're in there to be healing, but White Mage has that holy skill, which I think it's the best dungeon skill for a healer in the game, because it gives you 7 whopping seconds of stun, and it's an AoE target, and holy is very spammable, so, and it's really strong. So that doesn't surprise me at all, seeing White Mage up there. Scholar looking pretty good, not too far off from the White Mage, and the Astrologian with a median of 2132. Astrologian doing no damage in dungeons. Now, part of that is because, you know, they give out so many buffs. They just give out so many buffs that sometimes you may not be doing a lot of damage. I know when I run my Astrologian, I'm pretty busy. I'm trying to buff the strongest people. I'm trying to, you know, focus on healing, and sometimes that's just all you have time to do. You don't have time to do much damage. They do have decent damage skills. Gravity's alright. It's kind of like Holy. It's like a slightly stronger version of Holy, but it doesn't have any kind of stun, so pretty disappointing as far as that goes. But we'll talk a lot more about Astrologian in the next video, where we'll go over, who knows what we'll go over in the next one. So in closing, just my thoughts here. This is dungeons. This is basically the start of the end game. That's why I wanted to go do this video first. And it's actually a little longer than I thought it was gonna be. So I'm very glad I'm separating the dungeons and between the high-end raids and then the Eden content that just came out, the Eden Savage content. So we're gonna look at everything kind of separately, because otherwise it's just too much stuff to go over all at once. If you like this kind of video, don't forget to leave that thumbs up, leave a comment, like it, subscribe it, share it to it, all that good stuff. Or you don't have to at all, and either way, I'll catch you on the next one. Take care of yourselves, keep fighting, and I'll catch you later.